Hey everyone, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the 2020 Subaru Ascent Touring. This is a sound system demo. We're going to be checking out its 14-speaker, 792-watt Harman Kardon audio system. I've got a USB stick with uncompressed WAV audio files plugged directly into the system, and I've got high-quality binaural microphones in both of my ears, giving you the best experience possible for the system on YouTube. Before we get started with the review, we're going to hop out, take a quick look at the car, and we'll come back, listen to some stationary tracks, check out the infotainment system, go for a drive, check out those tracks while we're moving, and I'll give you my thoughts at the end. So this is Subaru's largest vehicle. They like to claim that it's the largest Subaru ever. It's a little bit bigger than their last three-row SUV, the Tribeca. So it's got 3 rows, 7 seats. Comes in this decent blue color here. I think the looks are a little bland, but they kind of work for what Subaru's going for. If you'd like to see more about the car as a whole, check out our full review. Link to that will be down in the description when it posts. Make sure you subscribe and be ready for when it comes out. So before we get listening to the music, let's go around and take a look at where we can find these 14 speakers. So we've got a center up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like that's about it up front. Then we've got 6, 7, and I don't see any more else in the second row, But a lot of times, manufacturers will put speakers, multiple speakers within one grill. So just because we're at 7 grills doesn't mean that's all. None back here. 8, 9. Subwoofer makes 10. So I bet you there's some speakers hiding in some speaker grills. But you get the idea. Now in terms of audio inputs for the Subaru Ascent, you've got a pretty robust selection. You've got your standard AM, FM, Sirius XM. You've also got Bluetooth, USB, and then on top of that, what you're not seeing very often, but you do have in the Ascent, is a 3.5mm auxiliary input jack, as well as a CD player. This I can't confirm, I should have grabbed a DVD, but this might actually play DVDs as well. Not necessarily for video, although it might if you're stopped, but more importantly for DVD audio, for those of you who are really concerned with high quality and getting a lot of tracks on a single disc. For volume and track controls, you've got a pretty good volume knob here. It's got nice little clicks to it and it's easy to hold. However, I don't like how the whole screen gets filled up with your volume. I know it's really minor, but say you wanted to adjust the volume real quick and then go back to doing something on the map, you gotta wait a few seconds for it to go away. Why does that need to take up the whole screen? It could just be a little adjustment. Then you've also got a really nice volume rocker on the steering wheel. Very easy to use. For tracks, you've got back and forward track right here as well, right above the volume knob. That's nice. Then you've got big track back and forward volume or buttons here, as well as a scroller. Now we always do these sound system demos with all of the sound settings set to their factory defaults. So if you click here, you've got bass, mid, and treble all to their 0 settings, as well as your forward, back, left, right, balance, and fader. Let's check out the differences in these now. So you got bass, mid-range, and treble. Another sound setting that's kind of hidden in the car that I didn't realize it had at first until I had to do some more digging is if you go back to home and then into settings, you go right here to sound settings, typically it's in general, and click sound, you see you've got your standard EQ and sound position, that's where we're at, but then you've also got the surround sound. So if you click that, I'll show you here, Just makes for a little bit more of a 360 sound experience. It's not quite as dramatic as some surround systems in other cars, but it does make a difference, and I like listening to it on. But if you want a more natural audio experience, just leave that off. So we'll do the test with it off for a while, and then we'll click it on later. It was just weird for me that that setting wasn't found here. Because I was driving around, listening to all my different tracks as I was getting used to the car, and I was like, all right, well, let's check out the sound settings. So I hit sound, and that's what I got. So I was like, okay, this must be the sound settings. And it wasn't until I was like, you know what, there's got to be more, that I went back and found that other setting. Also, why is this button so small? Why couldn't they put it over here and made it a little bigger? I don't know. Anyway, let's check out a few tracks. Alright, let's start it up. You can hear what the system's like on the road. I'm not a huge fan of when cars have to disable the audio just to start up, but it is what it is. Before we start this track, I'll let you kind of listen to how the Ascent sounds at 75. Overall, pretty quiet cabin. Nothing remarkable though for this class. These larger SUVs tend to be fairly aerodynamic, these new ones, at least in terms of sound noise. So you don't get a lot of wind. It's pretty isolated from the road, not a bunch of tire noise. And you don't hear the engine. I mean, we're doing 75 miles per hour, and thanks to the CVT transmission, we're just doing over 2,000 RPM. So the engine's pretty quiet as well. One thing you'll notice as we listen to this song, especially up at speed where it's a little bit louder and there's more noise fighting against the music, the guitar comes through too loud. And right now it's not a huge deal, but you notice it more once the other sounds come in because they're a little too muted. So those high-end twangs on the guitar are coming through like just way too strong into my ears. It almost sounds like the guitar is like a sick cat meowing loudly. Let's check out, what do I want to do here? Okay. I want to do this one. So there are going to be sections of this song once it starts to get louder that also come through way too strong. Part of it's the piano comes through too harsh. But also every one of those boom, boom, shoot, boom, boom, shoot, boom, boom, shoot, boom, 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 shoot, boom, boom, shoot, boom, boom, shoot. Those are coming through way too strong into my ears, and they're not balanced well with the rest of the music. If you were looking at a sound graph, everything were balanced out, it would be about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way up into the frequencies would be too high in this system. And what it's really coming down to is there's too much sound coming into these front speakers. So when you switch over to the surround sound mode, it helps it a little bit, but it's still not great. It takes a little of the mid to high ranges out of these front window speakers. And you can hear a little bit more bass, and that helps. But what it really took for me to come to terms with this system is to do this. Bass up 2, and this worked for multiple times in music. Treble up 3, and actually move the sound back. And then turn surround back up. Now you've got more bass and more high end, and it sort of brings down the low end, or sorry, the mid to highs that were coming through these speakers. So I'm going to put that first guitar track back on with these sound settings. We'll see how it sounds. The guitar right now is mostly the same because it's a mid to high sound, and it's the only sound coming through. It should sound like this. It should be coming through very strong. But then when the bass comes in, you're going to hear it fuller and from kind of more behind you where it should be, and the trebles are going to be allowed to come out a little more too. Right there in that, I'm drawing a blank on what's it, a tambourine. Might even just be a hi-hat, but I think it's a tambourine. Now I'm getting more of a rich, full sound. The bass is coming through clearer. So what this tells me is that we're actually dealing with some good speakers, and I'm not surprised. It's a Harman Kardon system. They've got very good speakers. But what does surprise me is how poorly the system is mixed. If I can go in and just change some sound settings and make it sound better, then that means sound system's not mixed very well. So weird fumble to see from Harman Kardon's part. Maybe Subaru did a lot of it in-house and just did the bare minimum to slap Harman Kardon branding on there. I'm not sure. But overall the system was a bit of a letdown, especially seeing the 14 speakers, 792, I can't remember the exact wattage. I expected a little bit more. So if I were giving a number rating to the Harman Kardon system here in the Touring Ascent, I'd probably only be giving it about a 6. And if it earns a 6.5, it's only because the infotainment screen works very well. It's very responsive, straightforward, big, easy to use buttons, aside from the silly sound settings. And it also gets helped out by the fact that you've got a 3.5mm auxiliary input jack for those who don't want Bluetooth compression but don't want to carry around a USB stick. They still want to use their phones. And you've also got a CD player, so if you really want to support a band and you buy their CD and get their high quality audio that way, you can just slap it into your car rather than having to rip it on your computer and then put it onto a USB stick like I have. So those are definitely saving faces for Harman Kardon system in the Ascent, but when it comes down to sound quality, it's definitely a letdown. Now, subjectively speaking, for everything in this sort of mid to high level, mid to large crossover segment, 3-row crossovers, I'm probably giving this about a 5. And that's when we're comparing it to everything else that's available for this price point in this class. It's just very easy to get a sound system done right in a large box like this. So it's a shame to see Subaru kind of swing and miss with that. Anyway, I hope you guys were able to get a good experience with this Harman Kardon system. If you want to see more about the Ascent, check out our full review. If you want to see more about the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Check out our other videos, our other sound tests. Feel free to leave me a comment if you have more questions about the system or how it compares to any of the others. Definitely feel free to let us know. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Drive on.